Hey there, Griff Hamlin here from Blues Guitar Unleashed. Welcome. Thanks for joining me in today's video. This is a classic, intro Christmas riff, and it happens to demonstrate a really cool concept, which is the idea of harmonizing in thirds. And you often hear, double stops or harmonies. You hear these ideas that happen in lead lines, but sometimes you may not know exactly how they work. So what I'm going to show you is, of course, how to play it, note for note, so that you know how to play in case you want to play that tune. It's Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree, obviously by Brenda Lee. So in the event that you want to play that, of course you can. But more importantly, I want to show you kind of where it comes from, because it's such a cool idea, and it's the kind of thing that you could really kind of solo a lot just using these little harmony ideas. So let me show you where this comes from. Now, in our case, this song happens to be in the key of A flat. That's a little bit of an unusual key, but since we don't use odd keys, most blues guitar lessons are in G or an E or an A, so I'm like, hey, you know what, it's A flat, let's use A flat because it'll be fun and it'll make you think a little bit, and that's never a bad thing. So we're gonna find an A flat on the second string. Now, if you have an A flat and you were going to play a major scale, okay, you got to know how to build a major scale. It's not hard. It's not gonna make your head hurt too badly. Maybe a little bit, but it shouldn't be too bad. We're going to go from the first note of any major scale. The next note is one whole step up, and that's 2 frets. Okay, so from the first note to the second note is always a whole step, or 2 frets. From the second note to the third note is always a whole step, or 2 frets. From the third to the fourth note is always a half step. From the fourth, which is 1 fret, by the way, from the fourth to the fifth is always a whole step. From the fifth to the sixth is always a whole step. Notice a pattern here, awful lot of whole steps. From the sixth to the seventh is, you guessed it, a whole step. And from the seventh back to the eighth, or to the root again, is only a half step. So, for those of you that are simple-minded like me and don't want to think very hard, everything is a whole step except the third to fourth and the seventh to eighth. Otherwise, it's a whole step. Okay, I don't have a good memory. I'm not so good at this kind of stuff. That I can remember. Everything's a whole step unless it's the 3 to 4. Or you're coming back around again from the 7th to the 8th. Okay? That for me, that works well. I can do that. So, of course, I could go backwards. From the 8th to the 7th, right, would be a half step. Otherwise, 7 to 6 is a whole step, 6 to 5 is a whole step, 5 to 4 is a whole step, 4 to 3, again, there's my half step. And I run out of frets there. That's okay. It's all good. So from here, if I want to add a third, okay, there's a fancy difference between the different kinds of thirds. There's what we call a major third, and there's what we call a minor third. The major third sounds happy, it's major. The minor third sounds sad, it's minor. Okay? There's a very simple rule. I'm teaching you a lot of theory in a very short amount of time. There's a very simple rule called the standard harmony rule. Standard harmony rule says for the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth notes of the scale, you use major thirds. For the rest of them, there's the 1, there's the 2, that gets minor. 3, that gets minor. 4, that gets major. 5, that's major. 6, that's minor. 7, that's minor. Now, before you go getting mad at me and telling me, no, that's diminished, we're only playing roots and thirds. It's minor. It's too high and squeaky, I can't play that. You get the idea, okay? So, 1, 4, and 5 are major. 2, 3, and 6 are minor. 7, yes, if you build the whole chord out, it's diminished. If you add the 7th, it's minor 7 flat 5, yada, yada. I get that. We're just playing roots and thirds. So you could just treat it as minor, like all the rest. Again, easy, not a lot of brain power. I don't want to use a lot of brain power. I want this easy, so let's keep it that way. Okay, so we can go up, or we can go down. At all times, I'm keeping my eye on the second string note. That's my root. That's how I'm making the scale, okay? So at the very beginning of the song, as you probably have heard, it goes, right? Or it's a couple. So we have, right? It's just those first two notes. Why those first two notes? Well, as it turns out, I have a theory. I can't know for sure. I was not on the session. It was before I was born. But if I play an A flat 6 chord, the top two notes are that F and A flat, right? That's the 6th of the scale, the F there. If I bring those up an octave, I get that. So it's kind of like, I think whoever was gonna play said, oh, well, the chord going on right there is like A flat, so I'll just play it an octave higher. And that worked out really good. Everybody went, yeah, that sounds cool. And then when it came time to do that little walk down, watch all I have to do. 6, down a whole step to 5, down a whole step to 4, down a half step to 3, down a whole step to 2, down a whole step to 1. I don't even know what the notes are. I don't really care. I just went down the scale. Imagine how easy it is to remember that when you don't care what the notes are. I do it by number, okay? That's how I think of stuff like this. I encourage you to do the same. If I had to go through, hey, this is F, that means that's A flat. If I go down, that's gonna be E flat, which means it's gonna be G, and then I gotta go down another whole step, and that's gonna be D flat, which means, man, forget it. Forget it. It's just way too much thinking. Guitar players I just can't think that much, okay? It just doesn't work out. So, keep in mind, this is a very straightforward, right? Let's say I wanted to do a little solo, right, over this thing. Right, the chords are going on. I could use that same little scale thing. And truly, I could like play up and down that all day long. Here's the thing. Every pair of notes that you choose is either 2 notes from the chord going on right now, or in between 2 other pairs of notes. So, don't ask me how that works out. It's complicated, but trust me, okay? So, no matter what, let's say that the A flat is going on right now, and I pick those 2 notes, okay? And you think, ooh, those don't sound quite right over that. Well, guess what? Go 1 note in either direction, and I'm gonna get 2 notes from the chord, okay? I could have gone down, or I could have gone up. Now, admittedly, those are gonna be the 5th and the 7th. Maybe those are gonna sound great to you, maybe not. But they're gonna be 2 notes from the chord. Why? Well, because the chord is the root 3rd, 5th, and 7th, right? That's 4 out of 7 notes of the scale. Every chord, if you take all 4 notes of it, it's 4 out of 7 notes of the scale. So you're either playing 2 of those or you're playing 2 of the other ones. That's it, okay? It's really hard to mess this up. I don't know how to make this any easier. This is a fantastic soloing tactic to use over anything. It can't be a blues, okay? Now remember, this isn't gonna work over a 12-bar blues. This is really important. This only works over things that can be explained with a major scale. Okay, this is what I call vanilla changes, 1, 6, 4, 5. A flat, F minor, D flat, E flat. It has to be something like that, okay? Brown Eyed Girl, G, C, and D, right? It has to be regular, major. If there's a dominant 7th chord, it has to be the 5 chord. We can't break rules. If rules are broken, if standard diatonic harmony rules are broken, you can't do this trick. But there's an enormous amount of music that falls within this category. And you can solo like this all day long. And you can play these little lines and these little licks, and it's very simple. I'm literally just walking down the scale, adding the thirds that I know are supposed to be there. Okay, very, very simple technique. Really, really fun. I highly recommend that you practice it. Just record yourself A flat, F minor, D flat, and E flat. Record that into your looper. You can noodle over this all day long. Just keep playing through that little scale. Just listen. No matter where you are, you're only one away. If it doesn't sound quite right, it's basically a suspension. Just go to the next one direction or the other. It should sort of slide right into place. It's a great technique, okay? So, as always, have fun with it. Share it with your guitar playing friends if you think they would dig it. If you're watching this on your social media platform of choice, subscribe or like or follow or do whatever's appropriate. Better yet, go over to bluesguitarunleashed.com. Sign up for the email list. I do a lot more stuff via email than I do on various social medias. I'll leave links to sign up for my 4-note solo, my free 4-note solo class. Arguably one of the more popular things I've ever done. I think 2 million people have gone through that and learned how to solo from the 4-note solo. So I encourage you to check that out. If blues soloing is your thing, I got some help for that. So take care, have fun. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.